All right, so I did a really janky job at putting the fans on because I might have to put it in the case first, which I don't want to do that at this point because I want to see if it posts first. So right now I'm going to actually mount the pump block onto the motherboard and hopefully it will run. I'm assuming it will. But again, I'm going to consult the manual because you never want to be too prideful when you say you think you know stuff. And so I'm admitting fault right now. So let's see, I did part 2, which is installing the fans, quote unquote. I don't want to do that in my case again in case something is weird and it's also awkward. So peel the sticker off the bottom of the pump block. For some reason, mine didn't have one, so that's weird. Apply thermal paste to the CPU. So pea-sized drop of thermal paste onto the center of the CPU is what everyone says. However much is a pea, I guess. I don't eat peas that often. But I assume that is just about pea-sized. Okay. So I guess you can't actually see what I'm doing because I'm stupid and not looking at the camera. I am a one-man show here, so it's kind of difficult. But that is apparently a pea-sized drop of thermal paste. Now, it says take the bracket, which is right here, AMD or Intel, depending on, obviously, what socket you're using. I'm using Intel, that's why it's a Z97. LGA 1150 socket is what I'm using right now. And let's see, part C, and then take the other parts in the bag, which were, I guess these are considered standoffs, question mark. And then it has a bunch of holes and stuff, notches, depending on which one you're actually using. So LGA 1150 is in the middle notch. What I mean by notches is like there are little tiny bits of notches that are here. And you want to line those things up. So this is going to be a pain. I really don't want to show this all on video. Okay, I'm not going to. I do have a time lapse. I will show a picture of the time lapse going by, and if for some reason that fails, I will let you guys know. But for now, I'm going to cut the camera off again and then go on from there. All right, so I kind of gave up on trying to install the cooler outside the case. So screw trying to get it to post outside of the case. I'm just going to put it in and hope for the best. Now, when you buy a case, this is an ATX case, so it's kind of a standard motherboard size. There are little screw points, and they are labeled. For this one, that has A for ATX and M for micro ATX. And there are little, basically raised up screws that let you screw screws into the screws, if that makes any bit of sense. Basically, it just rises the motherboard up, and it acts as a little peg so that your motherboard can sit in there. I had to screw in one peg for the ATX motherboard. Everything else was already pre-installed. The standoffs, as they're called, with that are screws that you can screw into. I had to install one, but if I had a micro ATX, I'd have to install 3 of those, just because that's what the case tells me. Now, I'm going to put my motherboard in. Actually, nope, not yet. I have to put in the IO shield first. So there's that. Now, the problem is I put the IO shield in the box, and I used the box to hold the motherboard. So I guess I'm just holding the motherboard by how it is. So let's see, IO shield. For those of you who don't know, the IO shield is the input-output shield. It's a little bit of metal, looks like this. Let's see if I can take it out one-handed. Yes, I can. A little bit of metal snaps into the side of your case, or the back of your case rather, and matches up with the inputs and outputs on here. So what you do is you try to find how it lines up, which for me looks a lot like this, and you kind of orient it the way it will go into the side of your motherboard, which is like this. I'm just gonna put that there, put this down so I have an extra hand. Why is this not closing? Okay, there we go. And then we're gonna pop it right into place. And I hear that this part can be kind of brutal, so I'm hoping that I'm not gonna hurt myself. Oh, that's not that bad. Okay, that really was not that bad. Okay. So it just kind of clicks in there. Sorry if you guys can't see. This is really hard to do. Understand that. So it just kind of popped in here. It just kind of snaps into place, which is what you want to do. And now I can put in the motherboard. So you kind of want to put it in. I guess you can't see that either. I need a bigger table. That's what I need. You want to put it in with the inputs first. So kind of slide it into the IO shield. And not only will that help you align it with the standoffs on the motherboard, but actually, no, that's pretty much why you want to do that, to help line up with the stuff on the motherboard. So try to push all the IO into place, and then your standoffs should line up. And there's a little bit of resistance here going sideways because it's kind of springy. So what I'm going to do, these springs came with the case. I'm just gonna screw all the screws into all the standoffs. So I'm going to cut away from that because that's just screwing in screws. So I'll see you guys on the flip side of that. All right, so I finished screwing in all the screws that held in the motherboard. I would suggest strongly to use a magnetic screwdriver and a much longer one than this little rinky-dink one that I have. But it worked out fine. Hopefully everything's okay. I'm still trying to get the cooler installed, but I actually want to install the power supply first just so I have this little bit of the area that you can't see, I guess, off screen. Have that area be a little bit cleaner, and also so I can just touch the whole case and ground myself instead of having to reach over and touch that. So since I know I'm gonna be grabbing the case all the time while I'm doing this installation, it's just gonna be easier to ground myself that way. So the motherboard manual has instructions on which screws to use for the power supply. There are 4 screws that have little wings on them, I guess. But there are 2, one smaller than the other. Interesting. So 4 of those will help install the power supply. I'm reading this off screen. There's the manuals right here. You guys can't see it. Sorry. So PSU installation, place the power supply in proper location and secure with screws. Wow, I never would have thought that one. Thanks a lot, Thermal Take. No, I'm kidding. What was that noise? Okay. So this is, I guess, the easiest way that you guys can see it. Yeah, that'll have to do. I honestly don't know if that's focused or not. So, yeah. So I'm gonna unplug the power supply for now. I want to do it face down so I get cool air coming in. So maybe there aren't brackets that hold the thing into place, but just kind of slide in here as people suggest. Slide in there, and then there should be, I had to find 4 screws that are identical to each other, but not the other 20 that apparently look like it. So here's that manual I was talking about, and there's a butt ton of screws off here that you guys can't see, but yeah, you can. Butt ton of screws. So let's see. Again, I'm not gonna put you guys through this, so I'm just gonna cut to the scene. Cut to the point where I have it installed. It should be easy enough, just finding 4 screws and screwing them in here and here. All right, so we are back after a very, very long time. Again, we're still trying to get this thing to post, and that is just when things turn on, which means that at least at the bare bones, everything works. Now, what you guys probably saw in the time lapse was me struggling a lot, and I did struggle a lot. So I'm gonna explain a little bit about what happened with the whole situation. So the all-in-one liquid cooler, that is the Neptune 240M from Cooler Master, was a bit of a pain. That's actually an understatement. It was a very big pain to get it to work in terms of the configuration of fans that I wanted, that is being a pool configuration. And that was, I think, due to me being inexperienced and not quite understanding what the instructions meant. So to be fair, there weren't any words on the instruction manual. It was just pictures, and that was a little hard to follow. But I figured it out after kind of taking a step back and thinking about what the screws are supposed to be doing in the cooler, and I figured that out. What I also did, which I guess you could see if I actually moved my monitor out of the way, is that, let's see if you can see it here. So I've installed the power supply inside the case, again, so I can just kind of touch the whole case and ground myself if needed. Also, I needed to route some cables from the motherboard and for the CPU socket to be able to run it again at a minimum. I've also plugged in the front panel IO because I want to be able to press the power button here because I don't know which ones I can short out with the screwdriver, and also the LEDs and stuff, which that was just kind of because the cable was there. I put in the piezo speaker just because it will start beeping and making me annoyed if something is wrong. So that's good to know if something is wrong, especially in the beginning here. I installed the cooler fully, minus 6 of the screws. I have 2 screws holding it in right now because I may or may not need to readjust some things. And I also installed it and uninstalled it like twice because I installed it once just to get it in there, and I forgot to plug in the CPU power. And the CPU power is right behind the radiator this way, and I couldn't reach it. So I uninstall it, do that, and then I realized that my fan headers on my motherboard, as in where they plug in on the motherboard, are right behind the other fan. And so I had to undo it again and then put it back. So I think everything that needs to be connected up at top near the radiator is plugged in. So I'm still kind of hesitant to put in the rest of the screws, but I figured it out. I figured out the mounting bracket for the CPU block or the pump block itself, which wasn't too bad. I just am kind of annoyed that there's the pump cable kind of going there. But this should be the moment of truth. So I have, again, the CPU, I have the RAM in there, and I have the CPU cooler hooked up in there. Now, I have my monitor here because I'm gonna post this. And by post, I mean like literally post it on YouTube, but also trying to make it work. So this is just a rinky-dink keyboard that I have. So turn on, hopefully, fingers crossed that it works. So turn on and press the power button. All right, so fans are moving, that's good. Are we getting any signal through this screen at all? Wait, yes! Okay, so we got into the ASRock UEFI, which is awesome. So that means this is working. Thank goodness. So just some cool lighting effects. I kind of hate how, I don't know if you can see it, but there's some red LEDs here. One's the power button, one's the reset button on the motherboard, that is. There's a Dr. Debug code, so there's a debug screen on there. It says AB currently, not sure what that is all about. And there's another obnoxious red LED that I have no idea what it's doing. And the Coolmaster logo is lit up as it should be. So it looks, I don't know what that AB error means, but let's see what this means. ASRock UEFI. So that means at least we got the system up and running. Let's see, just the basics. We got Intel Core i7 4790K at 4.0 gigahertz, that's good. Total memory, we have 16 gigs, dual channel memory, which is good. Let's see, I'm not gonna go into any of this, I just wanna make sure everything is working. So it looks like everything is working. So I'm going to discard changes and exit, I guess. Discard changes, exit, yes. And now we're going to power this down. Okay, so that was great. That was awesome. So we got the system in post. That's going to conclude this video. So thanks for following probably the longest part of the video. Longest part of this video series, that is me trying to get the computer to post. So that was that. That was amazing. I'm really glad that it worked out. I'm going to start securing more things in, going to finish putting the rest of the screws in for the radiator. And then in the next part of this video, I'm going to be installing the video card and the hard drives in here. So thanks for watching. Please feel free to rate, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more of this build vlog. And I'll see you guys in the next part of this video series.